Bonnet house.
It just now started working. That's crazy. Okay. Go ahead and start over.
Okay. It's Friday. It's 1 week left on my trip here. Oh my goodness, the time's gonna fly. But today we're at the Bonnet house. It's a historic home and gardens in Fort Lauderdale, or Lauderdale on the Sea, I reckon. So we're just at the parking lot, and as you can see, this is promising. So just let's go and check in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see if we can see something from here. We can.
Little cottage.
Yeah, welcome center.
It's a welcome center, so we're gonna go get welcomed.
I learned that this is the sea grape.
And walk kind of wobbly, so we're gonna close this right here, and I'll catch you in a minute. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's two manatees in the water there.
There's a baby and a mama.
Yeah.
And the baby's nose.
Look how cute. How cute is that?
When I got here, it was low tide. See that branch sticking out? They were out there. And so as the tides come in, they've been out there.
That's so sweet. We're gonna go on a guided tour, so the baby just poked his nose up. I hope you guys can see that. Now mama's huge and the baby's a really cute little size. Adorable.
And we were here and the tour just started. Look, agaves are flowering.
When you get old, it tastes. Anyhow, my name's Herb Diamond. I'm from Beverly Hills, California. I've lived here for 9 years. I've led tours here for 6.
Oh.
First off, look behind you and you see sand. In 1893, when Taylor came here from Chicago, where he was a lawyer and a realtor.
I hope you can hear him.
All of this was the beach. No greenery, no house, no nothing. Just A1A, our main road down there, about this big. That was for the barefoot mailman who came here from Miami once or twice a month.
Oh.
Hugh Taylor Birch came here basically because they had the Columbiana exhibit in Chicago. Story of Christopher Columbus. He thought it was too crowded, way too crowded. Persuaded a friend to come on down to South Florida, got on a sailboat, and found this area, which was the end of the world. Nothing was here. He was as happy as could be. A few Seminole Indians, some traders, and some people who got little lean-tos, whatever. That was in 1893. Fort Lauderdale didn't become a city until 1911.
Oh.
He started buying property in the state of Florida. In the space of 3 years, he had 500 acres of what is now downtown
Oh my.
Fort Lauderdale. 3 miles of the beach, and you can buy the beach. I'm giving you all of this to give you some idea of where you are and a little bit of the back history of Bonnet House. The beach, as a little aside to you, can be made private at any time because it's owned by the Bonnet House Association. But we leave it public most of the time. But we do have weddings there, different events, and we can close it off and make it a private beach. Hugh, to give you some idea of what he paid for his property and what it's worth today, over a 3 year span, he spent about $2 an acre. Right now, I happen to live on the beach, on the Gulf over here. North of me, about a mile, was a half acre, but with all beach frontage and a house on it. $10 million. Really big difference. Of course, today after our great last depression, you couldn't get $10 million for today at all. His daughter always came with him. His wife never did. If you kind of remember from your history books what women wore in the 1890s, she didn't want to come to the beach. She wanted to stay in Chicago. The second person we're going to talk about is Frederick Clay Bartlett, world famous artist that you've never heard of. He's the man who started building Bonnet House. He went to that same Columbiana exhibit in 1893. He was 19 years old. A little aside about Frederick, he was born with a sketchbook in his hand. The way the kids today are born with an iPad in their hands. Sketched and painted his life through. He never had to do that terrible thing that starts with a W and ends with a K. All he did was paint and sketch. That's all he did his life through. Anyhow, he went to that same Columbiana exhibit. For the first time in his life, he saw European paintings. And he was mesmerized by them. He persuaded his parents to send him to the Royal Art School in Germany, in Hamburg. And his parents were well afforded. They owned the largest wholesale hardware business in the United States, headquartered in Chicago. Eventually became Ace Hardware.
Wow.
So that's the main reason you really never heard about Frederick, because he never had any items. He had his pockets just overstuffed with Ace Hardware money. He never used to sign his paintings. He never thought about selling his paintings. They were just for his own enjoyment. He married a woman in 1900 when he came back from Germany, from Chicago. They had a son. She died in 1916 of breast cancer. In the meantime, he had met Hugh Taylor Birch's daughter, Helen. They fell in love, came here in 1920. In 1920, Hugh gave them 35 acres, which are still in existence today and worth a bloody fortune. He started planting, did all the planting, started building Bonnet House. Bonnet House is named for the bonnet lilies that grow in profusion all the way around South Florida. Fresh water. The fun thing about it is, bonnet lilies are yellow and green. Frederick the artist used his poetic license. He didn't like green, so it's yellow and blue. It's always been yellow and blue. Always, always, always. It
You
changes
see the
colors
blue port there?
imperceptibly when you
Entrance
change
door.
paints from one plant to another, but it's always been yellow and blue.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it here.
His
Or
second
not.
wife,
Perhaps not.
that he married here in 1920, died in 1926, also of breast cancer.
Oh.
They all went back to Chicago, all meaning Frederick Clay Bartlett, his son Clay from his first marriage, and Hugh Taylor Birch. All the work was stopped. Now comes the third person in the trilogy, Evelyn, spelled Evelyn, pronounced Evelyn, and nobody ever dared to call her Evelyn. She was Evelyn. She came from a very, very, very wealthy family in Chicago. Maiden name was Fortune, which kind of turns into a pun because she was very fortunate. She married Eli Lilly of the Lilly Pharmaceuticals. They got divorced in 1930. They had a daughter. She got $800,000 in a divorce settlement 1 year after our Great Depression of '29.
Oh my.
Which was approximately $17 million today.
Oh.
What they're doing, they're adding another entrance down to that end. So that's what you're
Oh,
doing.
that's
for a
over
lot of
here.
people that stay in the hotels along Fort Lauderdale Beach, so they don't have to come all the way around to get here. Anyhow, that was the basis of her immense wealth. When she died at the age of 110, minus 2 months, she was one of the 25 wealthiest women in the United States. A little aside about Evelyn. She smoked and drank every damn day. And still lived to be 110 minus 2 months.
What was she drinking?
Pardon me?
What was she drinking?
She was drinking martinis
She was pickled.
and
Pickle.
formaldehyde. And, no, she's drinking she loved martinis, and she loved her rank or lime cocktails, which I'll tell you about more inside. Those were her two favorites. Wait a second, where's my tape? What was I talking about?
Look at hamster.
Tea martinis.
Evelyn, yeah, Evelyn. Anyhow,
Hamster.
Evelyn met Frederick in Chicago after her divorce with Eli Lilly, and they fell in love, got married here in 1931. In 1931, all the work was resumed. The rest of the planting, the rest of the house. Evelyn, his third wife, was the one that was interested in the decor, etc. His first wife never knew anything about it. She died before it was even thought of. His second wife was a musician and poetess. She was not terribly interested in the house, things like that. You may take as many pictures as you desire, however, not inside the rooms. A little aside about that, two asides. I don't really call it a museum in the true sense of the word. Museums have exhibits that come and go. This only thing that came and went here were people. What you're going to see is the original from 1920 and from 1931 when it was resumed. And a little aside about photography inside the rooms. I had very keen eyesight, and prior to being a volunteer tour guide, I was an orthopedic surgeon, and I have the ability to remove your right arms without you even noticing. So no pictures in the rooms, please.
Okay, we have to find them online. Okay, we're going.
All the planning was all done by the time we had Hurricane Wilma hit us. Hurricane Wilma decimated nearly all the palm trees. All the palm trees have roots about that deep. But they had the plans and put it back exactly as it was before. Here in South Florida, all you have to do is that, you plant something and it grows. So it really did well.
Wow.
Frederick first saw obelisks in Germany, went to the Royal Art School, and he thought they'd make a great entrance to the house. They're made out of limestone and coral. That
Pretty.
coral was in the grand species. The walkway is also limestone and coral. The house was truly built only as a beach house. 18,000 square feet of beach house. This was not where they entertained socially. They had friends who came here, but this was not an entertaining house. Too tight. Most of the rooms were all one room deep. That's to take advantage of any breeze from the ocean or from the land. Let's go see it. It's kind of an ooh-ah moment, everybody.
Okay, I have to close now. No pictures inside. See you later. You can take inside here. You see a little bit of this.
We have a lot of small weddings in here, or small little events here in the garden area.
Oh my gosh.
All of the building material came from the property. sand from the property. The walls, sand from the property. Ceiling, Miami-Dade pine from the property. The only thing not from the property is the wrought iron.
Thank you. Just
All the wrought iron is here. The style of the house is just the way Frederick wanted it. Back then, they didn't have too many permits or any kind of problems. So you did what you wanted. The house was really built with Midwestern or Eastern sensibility.
You can see inside the house there, you can't, I'm sorry. But I'll make sure that I'll find pictures online and put in.
Ever heard here were some of the eaves on the roofs. That was it. Even the greenery in here was not bothered by hurricanes or tropical storms. Maybe if we'd have had a tornado or a cyclone that came right down on it, it might have been clobbered. But other than that, things can be. Some was added 10 years after he got here in 41. And that's when the house was really finished. Second floor is not open to the public for two specific reasons. We get approximately 80 to 100,000 people a year.
Oh wow.
Even during the summer. Lately, it has been busy.
I love those plants. I wonder what they're called.
It
Marlene,
has
what
the
are
original
those?
1920s floor. And so people walk here. So we
Orchids.
It is only open to brides on the wedding days. They get to change their clothes. And the rest of the time, we tour guides get to film. Also, if we'd have made it disabled able, it would have destroyed architecturally the building. So we did not do it. Pardon me? Right.
I gotta show you these. Look at the orchids. They're hanging in the air. Nothing behind them. See? Oh my goodness. It says that they've never been watered.
People kill orchids with plants. They say, oh, I really want it. Water, that's what kills it.
Yeah.
They get their hydration from rain and from the moisture in the air.
That's why they die up north, because there is not humidity in the houses. We need to water them. But this is amazing. They're so gorgeous. Never watered, and they all get the humidity. Well, water from the humidity, and you know that is a lot of humidity here. Nighttime. Let's see if I can capture that without being zoomed. See that one? It's gorgeous.
We have a lot of things that have little signs on them saying,
If I can get that one. Come on. There you go. Okay, let's get back to the guide.
even the acid from the perspiration will hurt you. Yeah, that's just about them. I'll be happy to and I'll be telling you all about them anyhow. Over here, tables like this. Frederick the artist loved doing what they call trompe l'oeil. In French, it means fool the eye. He loved doing this to wood. You'll see many, many, many examples of it throughout the house. And in fact, upstairs, all the furniture is all done with trompe l'oeil, fool the eye. Little figurine, this one is about 70 years old, from Southeast Asia. These were objects of worship and adoration. The Southeast Asians were very animalistic in their beliefs. This is done with vegetable dyes, has never been touched. Still the same vegetable dyes that was put on them in Southeast Asia because the atmosphere is still the same as it is there.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Can I ask you, were these
Aren't these
lamps
beautiful?
They're gorgeous. Were these lamps converted from oil to electric?
No, these were electric.
Oh,
Back in 1920, we had electricity.
that's true, yeah.
I used the royal we,
Weed.
you know.
Yes, weed. Weed, of course, weed.
Okay.
More tables of Trompe oil
Uh-huh.
and another object of worship. The bird is from the island of Truk, T-R-U-K, which is right near Guadalcanal.
Okay, look at that. It's amazing. With the yellow and the beacon and the yellow.
The shields on the wall over here are from Fiji.
Fiji.
All of the rooms are basically one room. I mean, even the ones that we're going to go through. You had to go in to go out, and you didn't go from room to room to room. The little things you see in these little doohickeys, that's fertilizer. That's the only water that comes to them artificially. We water that, and they get their fertilizer that way.
Smart. We're going inside the house now.
Now, come on and get underneath the ceiling, everyone.
I can still film?
Pardon me?
Can I still film?
You may, we're outside, my love.
Oh,
You
okay.
can
I'm just
snap
making
away.
sure.
Only problem is, you take a picture of me, it's a buck.
Oh, no, yeah, no, I'm not.
Come on in, everyone. This is the first of 3 hand-painted ceilings done by Frederick, all on Michelangelo lying on a scaffold. When the house was originally built in 1920, there were stairs here going up to the 2nd and 3rd floors. Back in the 1920s and 30s, this was the tallest building in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh my gosh.
It was always built as a tower. It was never part of the home. The home is over there.
Okay.
This was just built as a tower. 2nd floor was storage. 3rd floor, little Evie, Evelyn's daughter by Eli Lilly, loved to sunbathe in the nude until the airplanes came over. And then Mama put a stop to that. Anyhow, as you can see here, how substantially these walls are built. If Floridians had built them, they'd have been like that and in wood, and they wouldn't be here today. This house is going to last beyond me. Of course, anything's going to last me. When Evelyn got here in 31,
I did film him all of that in the beginning. Oh shoot.
stairs, because they took away from the garden. And as all of you women who are married know, when you ask your husband to do something, it's immediately done, right? Get rid of the stairs. So we cut a hole in his hand-painted ceiling, found this in an abandoned lighthouse. And that's how they got to the 2nd and 3rd floors. Over in the corners, more of his Trompe oil to make it look as if it's marble. And now we're going into his studio. My able
Okay, I need to
assistant
stop
will
now.
open the door
We'll get
for
back
us.
to it later.